Coming at you live from DNHQ in beautiful South Pasadena, California. This is the Blue Heaven Podcast. Gang, you're now home with Dodgers Nation and Jim Beam. Please drink responsibly. My name is Clint. You could find me as Real FRG on Twitter and Instagram. That is, of course, the real DMAC_LA on Twitter and Instagram. Doug, we are here on a Monday. Feels like this is going to be a normal week. It feels like it's been a minute.
I don't know about that. I feel like we're going to do the show for like 20 minutes. All of a sudden it's going to start raining, and they're going to bring the tarps out. We're going to have delay. Have to do the show like 4 hours later with all these rain delays right now, Clint. But yeah, hey, best in the world talking baseball, man. Mr. Clint is happy to be back. Got the Padres in town. We got the postseason around the corner. Lots to still figure out. So I'm excited to talk Dodger baseball, my man.
Yeah, you're talking about the rain delay, and heads up, everybody, rain is going to be one of our downs in 3 up, 3 down. But I am tired of the rain, and I've never felt more in my life. I've never subscribed more in my life to the adage West Coast, best coast than I have over the last month of Dodger baseball, which has been real frustrating. But they're home, they're alive, and they're going to take on the Sadres, the Padres, who are out of playoff contention. Essentially, I think there's like the tiniest percentage points where they could, but let's just say it's impossible. Yeah, like I already said, 3 up, 3 down is gonna be on the show. We are gonna look ahead to the Dodgers Padres series a little bit, and let's talk about Mike Trout later because our friend of the show, Bob Nightingale, longtime friend of the show, threw in a little throwaway blurb saying there's a chance Mike Trout could be traded. So that'll be coming up later on in the show. As I usually tell you right now, we're getting dumb close to getting to 70,000 subscribers. So all you got to do to help us get there is if you're watching this and you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe because we're giving away a Marcus Lynn MLB Mookie Betts official Nike jersey. I'm trying way too hard, but we're giving away a 50. It says 50 on the front, 50 in the back. It's got a Betts on there. We're giving away a free jersey when we get to 70,000 subscribers. So do that. It really helps out the channel if you hit a thumbs up. No, we got DJ producer Noah on the board. Noah, what are we trying to get likes for today?
Sorry, Shohei Ohtani just got scratched from the lineup.
Oh, perfect. So we're doing
one of those real quick.
We're getting likes for Shohei Ohtani getting scratched from the lineup.
For Shohei Ohtani becoming a Dodger after he ends being his injured
300 likes on this live stream, and Shohei will guaranteed become a Dodger after the season. But let's dive into first the latest news out of Dodger Stadium. Yes, this is the first game back at Dodger Stadium since the Julio Urias incident, and of course things are a little bit different at Dodger Stadium. There are images and other stuff, other things coming out of the ballpark right now from reporters that include the mural. One of the murals, I think off the right field side, was painted over, and there's another large mural. Both of them were celebrating the 2020 World Series championship. So something we were talking about in one of the recent episodes of one of the big fallouts of this Julio thing from a selfish standpoint as fans is the tarnished legacy of that championship. So we're seeing the murals getting covered, getting repainted, and Julio no longer has a locker at Dodger Stadium in the clubhouse. So it feels like the right move for the team.
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty consistent with what we've seen in the past from this organization. When things go this direction, they pretty much act like they don't know you, right? I mean, they distance themselves very quickly. It's more like Julio than Julio at this point. So, yeah, I mean, this doesn't surprise me at all. I think, like you said, you kind of think of the fond memories as far as what he did on the mound for this team. And, like I said in the past, he is that indelible image of the 2020 World Series. My theory now is that anytime you start that World Series reel, when you see those highlights, they're probably going to cut right to Clayton Kershaw running out of the bullpen, looking at the sky. But we'll see how they like to handle this. But, yeah, I mean, I think that there was already no chance he was going to be back in Dodger blue. But I think as far as how this impacts the team, it almost is symbolic of, okay, it's time to move on. It's time to, hey, roll with what we have right now, kind of galvanize this group and say, okay, we're heading into October. It's going to be all hands on deck, next man up mentality. I think, hey, they still have the horses to make some noise in the postseason.
Yeah, so there's that. That's done. You know, I mean, we already knew. Now officially, will not be a part of the team for the postseason run, probably never again. Another one we didn't talk about here because it happened just after or the day after we went live. Walker Buehler shut down for the rest of this year. Honestly, it feels to me like a good call. Yeah, it's disappointing. You know, I had Walker as kind of my X factor for this postseason. Whatever the role may be, it would have been a starter if he was coming back. But I I know you already reacted on some post game stuff and all that, and I think you put out a video. But just more thoughts. Like, is it? It feels like it's the right call. Just let it play until 2024.
Yeah, it really just sounds like the Dodgers are being extra cautious, right? I think this is the right move, not only for the organization, but for the player. A guy who has one more year of team control before he enters free agency. And the reality is, looking forward, that after this season, I mean, look at that rotation next year. You're pretty much going to see a rotation fronted most likely by Bobby Miller and Walker Buehler. We'll see what happens with Clayton Kershaw. We'll see who they sign the offseason. We're going to talk about Blake Snell a little bit later, but as far as who their options are. But I think this made a lot of sense just because, I mean, you're talking about someone who's already had 2 major arm surgeries. Okay, if things don't go right, it could be his career. It could put his career in jeopardy. Yeah. So I think you look at where the Dodgers are, kind of what I was thinking, that was one, what does it say about how this team feels about this current nucleus, how they feel about their chances of winning the World Series? Because I think if you say, okay, if he comes back, is he the missing piece of the puzzle? We look at the competition out there. Maybe they say, okay, Buehler can come in, give us 3, 4, 5 innings if you're efficient. If you look at the velocity, it was ticking up in the right direction. But at the end of the day, I think that it was good for Buehler to have that aggressive September 1st deadline, just because I think you wake up every day, you need something to motivate you, right? And I think that Buehler took that, and I think he's going to be in a better position to get back out there on the mound in 2024 by having this goal, right? So I think it's still okay, but look, I think it's the right decision from now. And I think, too, just getting clarity right now, kind of before it was set to be a second rehab start. So we know what we have at this point. There's really not going to be a lot of guys come back. We're not waiting on Tony Gonsolin like last year, right? Not waiting on Dustin May. Yeah. They know Blake what they have. Blake Trinan. I mean, I think this point, you're just really trying to get Clayton Kershaw as healthy as he possibly can be. But yeah, Buehler, we'll see in 2024. I think it was a very ambitious goal for him to begin with. When you look at Tommy John surgeries, as far as the rehab taking longer, you're setting go around.
Tommy John coming back in month 13. Yeah, 100% was a bold goal. In reality, yeah, he could have made that goal. He really could have made a start and made an impact this year. Their big worry, 2024 and beyond. He's still young enough. He's still got years. He's still got contracts in front of him. So it is the right call. You play to next year, and you set him up in a really good spot heading into the offseason. You know what? He checked off all the boxes he needed to check. He got into a rehab outing. His stuff still plays against big league quality-ish hitters that are playing down there at AAA. Take a little step back. You know, that was one of the things Dustin May mentioned coming back last year was really I was never shut down. I was always going because you're rehabbing. So you've been in so many ways or so many words, you've been pitching longer than the team has because you never had that down. You were doing your rehab. You were doing your throwing progression. So to get him shut down now, get him a regular, mostly regular full off season. And then, over there at Camelback Ranch into early February, it's the right move. It's the right call. And for me, I think it says a lot about what this team feels about Ryan Pepio's spot in the rotation.
Yeah.
He's looked good.
Absolutely. I think you get the promising starts from Ryan Pepio and his appearances. He's looked really, really good. The command's been better. The changeup is nastier than ever. And I think he's someone that you want to give this opportunity because I think this year could not be seen as a failure at this point because you're assessing what you have moving forward. Yeah. What do you have in Ryan Pepio? What do you have in Bobby Miller? And look, just kind of you got your hopes up, right, for Walker Buehler. I bought into it. I drank the cherry red Kool-Aid on that one, just talking myself into the possibility. And then I was like, whoa, like, Doug, bro, like you're talking about a guy, how do you made the comeback? You're talking about a little over 13 months on his second Tommy John surgery, thrusting him into that role. It would have been unfair for the player. I think that this is the most sensible move right now. Look, there is a sense of excitement that I have just giving guys like Ryan Pepio and Bobby Miller these opportunities. But I will say, Clint, I mean, I dropped that reel in the YouTube video just kind of laying out the timeline of all the bad luck when this rotation off the field, on the field. I mean, this has been a snake-bitten organization. I would say it's like a season of Squid Game, right? Someone goes down every single episode, and it's unfortunate, but hey, that luck has to turn around. But I think if the way things were going, maybe you bring Buehler back, you have a big setback. But I have a question for you, though, because we always talk about being fluent in Dave Roberts, right? Being fluent in this Dodgers organization. They're saying he didn't suffer a setback. My guess is it was very cautionary. I think that probably wasn't a setback per se. Maybe he didn't bounce back as quickly as they had hoped. But
it was mentioned kind of a little bit more. The bounce back wasn't as crisp. It wasn't as clear. So when it got to that Friday morning where this was the day he was going to make his second rehab start, they were just like, look, if after one outing, we already have to consider pushing you back a day, this is time to pull the plug.
Absolutely.
So if they not setback in the traditional sense, but it's just it's a cautious setback.
Yeah, and you saw my World Series rotation, right? You got Bobby Miller game 1, Pepio game 2, Bobby Miller game 3, Pepio game 4, 4-game sweep.
Hey, we're doing it the old-fashioned.
That might be hard, Doug.
Might be hard.
I mean, that's the way Tommy
Maybe
did
Fernando
it.
and Oral Hershiser coming out of the pen. I don't know, get something from them.
That's a Lasorda way, right?
Yeah, it's
there.
a Lasorda way, man. Until the arms fall off, right? Not the wheels.
Go ahead.
I'll just get into the comments here. We got Josh Gay who said shutting Buehler down is the right move. Save him for next year. We got Matty Man $5 said tired of waiting on guys, so kind of same sentiment.
Yeah.
Craig Osterberg said butane ran out of lighter fluid. That's a good one. And then some people talking about kind of the off-season of who the Dodgers should sign, which is going to be a great segment for later.
Yeah,
we're talking about some off-season stuff, so definitely stay tuned for that.
Yeah, there's going to be some pitchers definitely on the Dodgers' radar. One guy we hope they can sign if his shoulder keeps up. The only other thing we haven't talked about since the last stream, and we'll talk about real quick, Clayton Kershaw was supposed to start today, getting that start pushed back to Friday. You look at the calendar as well. Like, there's a few ways to look at this. I looked at it. The first thing I looked at was his next start will come Friday in Seattle. 5 or 6 days after that could conceivably be his final start, regular season start, at least at Dodger Stadium ever. Maybe. Because if he's not feeling good, he's been very vocal about the fact, if I don't feel like I can do this, I don't want to try. I just want to walk away. So September 20th or 21st could be the end of Kershaw at Dodger Stadium in the regular season, but the team is maintained. All right. He's newer to the buttons, but I appreciate the effort from DJ producer Noah over there. They don't seem overly concerned about Kershaw, which gives me some concern. Where is he at on your Doug concern meter, if you have one?
I mean, I dropped a video talking about this, and I think I had it at a 7.5. I mean, I'm pretty concerned about this because every time you've seen a velocity drop to this extent, it's usually followed by an IL stay. I mean, that was his second lowest miles per hour on average. I think it was 88.3 since 2018 in a game in late May.
Yeah.
He had the back issue. So you can't afford that this time around because you need to ramp him up to go for the postseason. But yeah, I mean, kind of getting back to your main point, this is, I've been saying for a while now, you have to cherish every single time that he toes the slab, every time that he's on the bump, you have to cherish that. Kershaw days are special. They've been special in our lifetime for 16 years now. It's just blown by, gone by so fast. But at the end of the day, this is a made man, like I've said for years. He's already beaten the video game on story mode, just playing the side quest at this point. So he has nothing to prove to anyone. I will say selfishly, I want to see him get a farewell tour. I want to give him those roses and have that moment at Dodger Stadium. I want to have a little bit of a time to really process this. I mean, I don't want to have it overnight, but like I was saying, the only thing you need to know about Clayton Kershaw is if he does not feel like he can be a 1 through 3 starter, he will not be a role player. He's more of a Kobe than a Vince Carter. He's someone that needs to be out there competing at the highest level, or he's not going to do it. He's not going to be hanging on for dear life. You're not going to see him, like we said in the other show, you're not going to see the Athletics Mike Piazza, right? You're not going to see that with Clayton Edward Kershaw. And I think you made the best point is, savor this. I'm not trying to fearmonger saying he's going to retire, anything like that, but these guys, you got to cherish it, man. It's special.
Happen, if it's gonna happen, these are the dates you need to kind of
it's
be
on the,
aware
based
of.
on what I've heard, I definitely think it's on the table. I would say more than you would hope.
Yeah.
So.
And he's been very vocal about it too. He's been extremely vocal about it. So his final start could come against the Tigers if it is the 20th, or at Dodger Stadium, or the Giants, fittingly, at Dodger Stadium on the 21st. And then if everything lines up the right way, he could face the Giants again at Oracle Park, which would be a nice button-up in a way. One thing, though, Clayton Kershaw would not want a farewell
He
tour.
would not, and that's a great point. That's not who he is.
I'm sure I've really upset some folks in the stream about that, unless we are in the spirit of reality.
People are kind of in the same thought. One thing I was going to say is, with the Kershaw potentially being over, I mean, they did bring his best friend throw out the first pitch the other day. I mean, that's like, that's like his best friend of all time.
You're trying to tell me that Matthew Stafford, quarterback
of the
World Champion Rams. Of the world,
little
the
known
NFL.
fact. Little known
very
fact.
little known.
Best friends of all time and all eternity.
Hey, we might need Matthew Stafford out of that bullpen.
It's pretty crazy. A thing or two about him. Speaking of Matthew Stafford, not at all though. We got ourselves Let's go Dodgers.
Make it rain. I love super chat?
We got a super chat from Mr. Jose Ayala. His first super chat. So, Jose, thank you very much for supporting
thank
the
you so much.
channel. He said, love this show, guys. Thanks. And then a question here. You guys think the rookies will handle the pressure during playoffs? Honestly, I am a little worried.
We are going to talk about that a bit coming up right now in this next segment. I will say, I mean, we know the big rookie is going to be Bobby Miller. He's going to get the most runway. He could, at this point in time, be the game one starter. And it's somewhat mixed. It is somewhat mixed because you saw what he did against the Braves, and he understood that situation. The team was on a losing streak. They did not want to get swept, and he stepped up and handled the situation. But then you flash forward to his next start, and, admittedly, the team tried to push him a little bit going into the 7th, but he did let some emotes get to him. So we'll talk about that a little bit. I do want your thoughts on that in a sec. But the other guy, Ryan Pepio, I think he has, he wears Sunday swagger, but he also has that swagger to him. Like he feels like a big leaguer to me this season. He won that 5th starter role. Sure, he didn't get a chance to pitch in it until much later in the season, but he's a dude who feels like he belongs. He has a presence to him on the mound, and he looks to me like somebody who he looks like a big leaguer. He 100% looks like a big leaguer right now. What do you think?
Absolutely. I mean, look at the numbers, 0.86 ERA. He's done nothing but have success and take advantage of this opportunity. I think his mindset as well, he's a little bit more mature, right? I think he can handle this, especially his experience last year. And I think the key for Ryan Pepio was the fact that the stuff is just good. I think one of the big trade-offs here as far as the experience, it's do you go with the experience, right? I mean, you had guys like Clayton Kershaw, who hopefully will still be a part of this rotation. Hopefully his last start is in the World Series, right? But you got Julio Urias, he's gone. Lance Lynn, I think he's on thin ice right now. The big trade-off, though, is you got experience with guys who throw 92, or you have not a lot of experience, but guys do 95, 96, 97, 98, right? Guys that have higher velocity. So I think that is the big difference there. And I think that's why I said in the last show, I'm going to roll with the rookies because of how raw they are as far as the experience going. Will they handle that? Look, pressure, it builds diamonds, right? And we need to see if these guys can handle that pressure. And even if they can't, at the very least, you're giving them valuable experience. So I think the good thing, too, is you're pitching for the Los Angeles Dodgers. Let's say you were on the Marlins or the Pirates, and then you get into the postseason, you don't know what it's like. Hey, every game at Dodger Stadium is 40, 50,000. So you know it's a pressure cooker environment to begin with. And I think these guys, the way they're developed, there's so much. They just trust the process, right? They're very process-oriented. So I think really it's kind of the next pitch, next out mentality with this team. And I think that these guys, their mental makeup, they can handle it.
Hey, every little kid's dream is to either pitch at Dodger Stadium or is to be the starting shortstop for the Los Angeles Dodgers.
I've been dreaming about that.
Shout out to G Lux, man.
Listen.
Come on the show, my man.
I'll reach out to him again. It's been a minute. We haven't talked to Gav.
We miss you, Gavin. We miss you.
He changed his number.
You already.
Well,
blew
I was
your
on
load
this
a little
screen,
bit.
but then it
Listen,
still worked.
sometimes things happen, but you never know with the.
Guess what, guys? We got Super Chat. Let's go.
Perfect.
This,
So we got not one.
On something.
Or I'm like LeBron right
Let him
now.
cook.
Not
Yeah.
one. Not
two.
two.
Not three.
No, it's 3. We got 3 super
Hey!
chats.
Yay,
This is a
super
super
chats.
duper.
All right.
Super duper.
First one we got.
Love you all. Love you all.
I'm gonna go in reverse order here. So the first one's we're gonna have a quick answer. Danktacular Cheesehead, 199. Very quick answer. What is going on with Daniel Hudson?
I mean, he's not optimistic, man. It doesn't look like it's going to happen. I mean, there was some optimism, and he said he's trying to keep the arm as warm as he possibly could, but it's really still the lower body. I think that, it's not going to happen. I mean, the Padres making the World Series, I'd probably bet on that before Daniel Hudson this year. And it's unfortunate because this is someone who has dealt with injuries for his entire career. This time, it's a lower body injury, so it's unlikely at this point. I think that they're trying. It's almost similar to the Walker Buehler, and they're like, "Yeah, go try your best, this and that." But I think the reality is they know that he's a long shot to return this season. And Doc said that a couple days ago.
All right, number 2, Coast to Coast 360 said,
of course.
199 said originally from Oxnard, but now reside in Portland. Shout out Coast to
P-Town.
Coast for
Let's
residing
go.
in Portland. Damian Lillard. That's big trade coming.
Yeah, I want them to get a baseball team in Portland. I always say their team name should be the Birkenstocks. To the White Sox. Okay,
It's not really. I mean, it's the same coast.
that's true. Same coast.
One more super chat. This one's
West
so
Coast.
big. I'm gonna hit this one more time.
Let's go.
Thank Thank you very much.
There we go.
Victor Banos, $50.
50 bucks.
Thank you so much.
Unbelievable.
Victor said, if the worst scenario happened and don't have Kershaw in the postseason, Miller, Pepio, and Lynn, but with a short leash, with all the bullpen ready. So that he's kind of laying out the worst case scenario of Kershaw not being able to play, and that means it's Bobby Miller, Ryan Pepio, Lance Lynn, and then a short leash on all of them, and the bullpen has to stay ready. I mean, what do you guys think about that worst
I
case
think it's gonna be a
scenario?
surprise.
Stone plays a role. Ryan Yarbrough's all of a
Maybe
sudden.
Michael Grove plays a role.
I would honestly, I think this would be surprised. I think we're gonna see how it plays out over the last few weeks, but maybe a Nick Frosso. I mean, someone like that. I do think that you saw what they did with Emmett Sheehan. You saw what they did with some of these younger guys. They are very excited about the possibility of these guys. It does feel like house money to the point when you look at expectations being lowered, especially after Julio Urias. So I think when you consider that too, I think they're going to just go for it. And I think that, hey, Nick Frosso, Kyle Hurt, I mean, I won't say Kyle Hurt, but he's improved a lot this year. But I would not be surprised to see when you see that postseason roster say, okay, really? Because you look at those lefties, I mean, especially out of the pen, Vigon and Vezia and Ferguson. I mean, those guys haven't really gained a lot of trust this year. So I think they're going to try to get the best arms with the stuff that's going to play up. But Yancey's going to be back. Joe Kelly's going to be back. So really, I think they're going to have some opportunities. It's just really looking at the starting rotation, how it's going to lay out, because you're not going to see guys go 6-7 innings going third or fourth time through the order, anything like that. So I think it's really, like I said, it's going to be about like a tag team in wrestling. Just tag the next guy in and try to get those 27 outs behind a high-powered offense.
Does that help you get all the way through 11 wins or whatever it's supposed to be now? Is it 11 still?
Yeah, it's 3-4-4. Yeah.
Okay.
You got to get high. I mean, you're going to ride.
Things changed when the World Series was harder to win in 2020. Everything changed. You know,
Well, also the wild card is now best 2 or 3, so it changes how much a wild card would win. But Dodgers in the NLDS won't have to worry about that. Really quickly before we move on here, it's right on topic. Lori O, thank you very much.
Thank you, Lori.
Lori O, super chat on topic. That's why we're reading it right now. $4.99. Lori said, we roll with the rookies, give them the ball. Bobby Ice would never pull a George Kirby. That's topical. That's topical. For those who don't know, George Kirby had this little incident about not wanting to stay in the game. It was a whole thing.
It was kind of where you at? You're a youth.
Yeah.
You know, you people think you deserve things.
I think he ended up backtracking on it anyway.
Yeah. Oh, well,
he was like, my skipper always has to take the ball out of my hands.
He got talked to.
Yeah.
He got a talking to.
Yeah.
Not only and Scott Service wasn't the guy doing most of that. Whatever veterans are in that clubhouse. The
and
most
he threw
veteran
him under a
Robbie
double-decker
Ray.
bus.
Yeah. So
Robbie Ray injured.
I'm not surprised at the thinking of the old school baseball player, but I am kind of surprised at how vocal all of these old men on Twitter chose to be.
I saw Jared Weaver
going off, Houston Street going off today. I mean, there's a bunch of Roger Clemens. I mean, people sounded off on this George Kirby situation. Look, the kid messed up. You know, you're not allowed to have opinions when you're young in baseball. It's a very what do they call it? It's set in its way kind of sport. So
yeah, it felt like one of those ones, especially like you said, it felt like he had gotten a talking to. It was almost one of those like, hey, blink twice if you're in danger type things. Are you going to be okay? Because
gun in his back is like, I want to pitch whenever they want to let me pitch. I am happy.
Yeah.
The skipper needs to take this ball out of my hand.
Yeah, Skip got to just rip that thing out, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely one of those. But great comment, L'Oreal. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori. 3 up, 3 down. Let's go. We're going to make this quick because usually we have a way of, Doug and I have a way. You should mute that when you take those off next time. We have a way of talking a lot through 3 up, 3 down, so let's make it quick. And it's also going to be a little bit of a cheater round of 3 up, 3 down because we got a trio we got to talk about at the top. Of the ups, 3 guys are doing pretty well. We can honestly say 4 because I do want to throw James Outman into the mix because Jimmy O has been phenomenal. He has really reinvented himself. Kind of, I think I heard it on one of the Sportsnet LA post game shows or somebody mentioned it. Sacrifice the power a little bit to get more on base, and I mean that at bat he had on Friday night to work a very, very clutch walk that honestly I wish he would not have worked, or it was a Saturday game because that day was already so long with a 4-hour 10-minute rain delay to start the game and all that. Just let them lose in 9 and everybody go home happy and early. But putting together some incredible ABs and some really, really good defense. But also, you got to give some love to record-setting Freddie Freeman. Hits 53 doubles, now at 54 as of the time we are live. I think the Dodgers won the offseason in 2022. I'm just saying, or 21-22. But quickly, also, CT3 kind of coming on hot. Miguel Rojas, all of a sudden, getting some hits using Kike's bat that was sacrificed on Sunday. But talk through, spit on those four guys a little bit, which is a very weird way to phrase that.
James Outman, he's still James Out him, like we've been calling him. And I think that when I look at James Outman, the success that he's had, you mentioned it, it's one, that big adjustment when he was going through hard times, shortening up his stroke, not going for the slug, and the slug will come natural. We've seen that during this stretch, but I also think,
what you need to want the dub.
Exactly, right? And I think for James Outman, he's someone, if he was on a team that you had just had rookies, right, a really young team, a young roster, I don't think he has as much success. I think he's leaned on a Jason Hayward, a Mookie Betts. I've seen Mookie pull him to the side after BP sessions and go over stuff. And it's not for show, right? It's not on TV. I mean, these rookies have really taken him under their wing, and I think Dave Roberts has given him a lot of confidence. So he's been fantastic. Chris Taylor, I want to say, saw some of you guys saying, yeah, you're the guy who called him swing and miss Chris. Guess what? He is still swing and miss Chris, but he's okay with that. I want to live with that. I love the ups and downs of Chris Taylor as long as we're seeing the power. And that has been the difference, is you're seeing harder contact and more power, and he's getting hot at the right time. During their road trip, he had 333, but 4 extra base hits, 2 home runs, 2 doubles, a 211 weighted runs created plus. That led the Dodgers, so he's getting hot at the right time. And then Miguel Rojas, another guy, had a really nice road trip as well. But Freddie Freeman, what more can you say about this guy? He has been absolutely perfect for the Dodgers. He's been everything that they had hoped he would be, times 2, times 3. He's been that good. And if you look at the record that he's on, 3 doubles in 3 straight games. He breaks Johnny Frederick's record for the Dodgers for most doubles in a season. Frederick hit 52 doubles back in 1929. So that record was a 93-year-old record. So basically, more of the story is if you got Frederick in your name, you're probably going to hit a lot of doubles for the Dodgers. Yeah. But you're talking about someone 54 doubles, 25 home runs, 2 triples. That's 81 extra base hits. It's the 9th season in Dodgers history with 80-plus extra base hits. And the record for the Los Angeles Dodgers is 84, and that's shared by Sean Green and Cody Bellinger. So, hey, you look at the Brooklyn franchise, Babe Herman hit 94 back in 1930. So Freddie Freeman right now is on pace for 93. So we're talking about someone who could set the all-time record for the entire Dodgers organization for most extra base hits in a season. If he does that, I'm doing 2 shoeies on this show because that's how impressive it would be. And he's going to be the first guy since Charlie Gehringer to hit 60 doubles in a season. So he's someone that's breaking records. This is a truly historic season for Freddie Freeman. And one thing you can tell all those Braves fans out there, if they ever want to come at you saying, oh, he wanted to be a Brave, Matt Olson, this and that, the Dodgers are getting the best version of Freddie Freeman. This is peak Freddie Freeman, and we're not talking about a guy who's in his 20s. He's in his early 30s, and, yeah, this signing has been fantastic, and that's why you can't squander it. And that's why I think there has to be such a sense of urgency when it comes to building this roster to win now, to take advantage of this peak.
Not much more I could add to it other than you have on base, you have run production, you have a veteran leader, you have the best first baseman in the game by far, and a top 5 baseball human in the sport today.
Freddie Freeman, man.
Hell of a signing, and a really good signing too. Yeah, he's older. It's got somewhat high AAV, but he's a real good baseball sportsman. You got to give some love too as another up, which will be our I'll just cheat a little bit here and say it's our 3rd and final up, because if I throw 4 guys into 1 up, that's fair. So we'll split those ones into 2. You got to talk about Ryan Yarbrough, who kind of has been the best trade deadline acquisition for this team, because he's just, whatever role he's been put in, he's produced. He goes and has a kid, but he's like, I know you guys need me. I'll stick around and start. And had a pretty nice game. A nice start, his first start as a Dodger. I know you would call him potentially the most important deadline acquisition for this team, and he's gotten more important since more of the rotation started falling apart with the Urias situation with Kershaw. You don't know where his shoulder is at. What do you think the postseason role is? And just, give us some Yarbrough love.
Yeah, I think you said it best as far as him being the most important trade deadline acquisition, because I think, one, he's going to have a big impact on this team in the postseason because of his versatility. I think with Lance Lynn, if he starts a game maybe in a 7-game series when the Dodgers are already on top, that does make some sense. But in a shorter series, we need to go out and get 3-4 innings from a Yarbrough. I think it makes a ton of sense. And you look at what he's been able to accomplish so far, I think he's a very interesting. I enjoy watching this guy pitch, man. I love how he makes hitters just feel so uncomfortable with that deceptive delivery. And really, on paper, he's not someone that just screams postseason dominant reliever, postseason dominant ace, but he's someone that's deceptive. He misses barrels. He gets an impressive amount of chase. He can work up in the zone, likes to stay down in the zone. So, yeah, I've enjoyed seeing him in Dodger Blue, and I think that he's just on board with any role they have. He has nothing that tells me, okay, I have an issue being a starter or reliever. No, he just wants to help this team any way he can. I think that he's going to be big, especially late in the NLDS, possibly late in the NLCS if they get that far as some piggyback starts if some of these younger guys aren't able to go deep in those games.
Yeah, and if they get to a point where something else happens, you all of a sudden you have Michael Grove starting. That's an immediate pickleback.
It's like a cool band, Pickleback.
Look at his phone. That very quickly becomes a real game 4 sort of option right there for the Dodgers. So don't sleep on that dude when it comes to the postseason. Getting into a couple of the comments here. I don't know if you got anything.
But really quickly, just got some news from Dave Roberts that Kershaw starts pushback again to Saturday instead of Friday. According to Jack Harris of the LA Times, Roberts maintained it wasn't injury health related, but rather so they could line up Kershaw's pitching schedule for the rest of the regular season. So,
which is what he said yesterday.
So,
when
I was about to say.
Friday.
So instead of Friday, it's Saturday.
So his shoulder's falling apart, and he's probably just got like another injection in his shoulder.
Yeah,
that's me reading Dave.
Yeah, and then just all the quick news from Dodger Insider. The target date for Joe Kelly's return is Wednesday. So Kelly should be back.
Massive news.
Series finale
Need
against
Joe Kelly
the
back.
Padres. I'm sorry, just wanted to throw those quick tidbits in there.
That's news with Noah.
That's
Get to Noah the news.
Get to
There's
Noah
news.
in the Noah. We'll be in the Noah or whatever.
All right. Yeah. Next segment.
What else we got? We got a few of the comments here I wanted to get through because I
like
saw
this one.
Go
says
ahead.
8-1-8 Kersh for closer. Doesn't really have closer stuff. And we saw in 2019, I never want to see him come out of a bullpen ever again.
Dog.
Okay.
That's a no
People
for
ask
me,
me what was
dog.
the scariest move I've ever seen. And I was saying it's Kershaw coming out of the pen there in October. I see someone saying about Yarbrough is it has another year of control too. Hepatitis C later. Yeah, that's a great point too. He's someone that is gonna have a role moving forward. We got a lot of people talking about Colton Wong too. Yeah, Colton Wong definitely winnowing over Dodgers fans, homering there in that first
Only
at-bat.
has 2 hits, and they've been pretty important.
They have been. I mean, you saw we did Saturday night. You saw in his first AB in Dodger Blue. And he's got pop. He also has experience. So, yeah, he's someone who at the end, his goal right now should be let's make them make a difficult decision, right? Let's make them have a conversation. I think you got to look at the name on the back and the fact he has had success in this league. To me, that kind of stuff plays up. 2-time Gold Glove Award winner.
Plug that in somewhere late in the game if you need.
Yeah, and a season removed.
Can he play third base? That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, can he play third base? Yeah, I mean...
You stumped Doug.
I got one in there.
You stumped Doug.
I think that you have to factor in Muncie's bat versus JD's. I mean,
no, I'm talking about more of like a
defensive replacement.
Later,
I mean, look, I think I think for Colton Wong, I think they're going to want to see him produce at the plate consistently, and we'll kind of go from there. But yeah, he's just a season removed from a 116 way runs created plus season. So yeah, it's good to see him having success. And the Dodgers' eye for talent, it really knows no bounds.
That it does not. Find a free player on the open market, and they're going to go out and get him. I want to give a little love here in the stream too. Unless he's a friend of the show. He's been known to troll, but I'm not going to say he's trolling here. Our friend Swellin' Sausage apparently had a bad day, had a rough day. I believe he had to put down his pupperoni, 13-year-old black lab. So much love to Swellin' Sausage. This is a dog house here. Oh. No, we love pupperonis, and much love to you in this trying time. I love dogs more than I love kids, so that is terrible, and kids are terrible. Anyways, moving on. Let's talk quickly about down. We got 3 up, and then there's 3 down. That's kind of how it works. So I'm calling this Bob Emotions. So Bobby Miller has a way of maybe still letting the emotions get to him a little bit. Again, he had the good start against the Braves, but this last one kind of saw he walked the guy, and you saw him get a little in his head. I wouldn't say, you saw him whip 101 nasty fastball, yanked it, and walked. I think it was Vargas or whatever. But is that? I guess the way to ask the question is Bobby Miller too emotional for October?
If I had to pick between one or the other, give me the guy who's emotional. Give me the guy that pitches with an edge, that has that fire. Now, I heard Eric Karros out there, and he was kind of talking him up for not backing down to Vargas. Just over back to him, right? And kind of gets in that back and forth. I think for him, though, it's really more about just getting to the next pitch. My favorite pitcher growing up had to been Greg Maddux, right? And what did Greg Maddux say? Make good pitches, not perfect pitches. And I think that's important for not just Bobby Miller, but all these young pitchers. But I think if you're Bobby Miller, you just want to go out there and continue to evolve. And I think for him, failing right now in early September against the Nationals, I think is better than having a good start where you're going 7, 8, 9 innings and shoving the whole entire time. I think for him, failure is something that looks like can drive a player like a Bobby Miller, a guy that needs to have a frontline starter aces mentality. We're not talking about a guy that wants to be a number 2 starter, a number 3 starter. We're talking about a guy that wants to be the ace of the Los Angeles Dodgers. Okay, those are big shoes to fill. That's like being the quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys or something like that, right? That's a massive, massive role. And I think for him,
LA Rams.
Or the LA Rams, Matthew Stafford in the mix. But how about this,
That's
though?
true.
I think, too, something that I liked what he said after the game. He says that was an unacceptable pitch. I mean, you look at the pitch to Lane Thomas. It was a slider, cement mixer, just hung in the zone. But how about this? It was the 4th time around the order, right? 4th time around the order, and the first time that he had ever done that in his career. And I think you got to consider the fact that you will not be seeing that in the postseason. You might not even see him go 3 times around the order in the postseason. So I think it's very important to remember that. But I will say I credit this Dodgers organization, Dave, and the powers that be. It's not a Dave Roberts only thing. It's a very collaborative effort between everyone that's involved. I think what they've done is they've allowed him to develop by giving him a longer leash, by letting him go deeper into games. And look, the reality is he's someone that just needs to. That's the last thing, right? He has the stuff. He knows that his stuff plays up at this level. He knows that he can have success at this level. For him, it's just one more little box to check off is that maturity. And once he checks that box off, because that's been the knock. I mean, you talk to people at the minor league level, if there's one knock on Bobby Miller, it's okay, if things unravel with him, the wheels can fall off pretty quickly. So I think what he needs to do, he needs to win, W-I-N, and that's what's important now. Focus on the next pitch, what's important now, and just attack hitters. Forget the walks. If you hit a guy like you hit Thomas, you forget that. You move on to the next pitch, the next hitter, and I think he's going to have a lot of success.
I like this comment here. Johnny Owen says, guys, have you ever played without emotions? Yeah, I mean, I've never been really a Garrett Anderson type.
When I was in Little League, literally, strikeout, cry. Line out, cry. Foul ball, cry. I cried like 20 times for every Little League game. I mean, even like softball a couple years ago. I mean, I have played with a lot of emotion. I think it's an emotional game.
You play violent, from what I understand. Like Noah's still hurting. From
guys,
office basketball.
You don't want to play basketball against Doug.
Yeah.
It is scary.
Hey,
he's literally like Shaq in his prime.
Big Diesel.
Like, except for without like the skills, but just
and
with all
the bad free throw shooting.
And bad free throw
shooting does add up.
The comps keep adding up, honestly.
Hey, this is the best screener in the history of sports right here.
That's facts, actually.
That's Steven Adams right there, baby.
That is facts. Speaking of Steven Adams.
I'm excited about this.
This has nothing to do with Steven Adams.
I love the segues in that they have nothing to do with anything.
Well, that's what we do here. 818 LA Riker, Steve May, $2 super chat.
Thank you.
Sweep the Padres. He said leg.
Sweep the leg.
Guessing he didn't know if he meant sweep the Padres leg or. Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Sweep the Padres leg.
Yeah.
Sweep the Padres leg.
That's
So that's from
you,
LA
Chief.
Riker, Steve May. Thank you very much for the super chat. And I agree. Let's sweep the Padres leg this week.
Yes, you're darn tootin'. Second to last homestand. Very short homestand, but it's second to last homestand of the 2023 baseball season. Quickly, what's your concern level for Mookie Betts and that foot injury?
I'll give it a 5, but I think the most important thing right now is you find some balance in having him continue to have his rhythm heading into the postseason while making sure that foot's okay. If you talk to anyone who's had a bone bruise, they are painful. He didn't look like himself out there. He goes 0 for 4. So, yeah, I mean, I think the big takeaway is has this completely derailed his MVP season, which, where I sit, I think that he's more valuable because he's been a better offensive player overall. But I think from a narrative point, this pretty much gets him out of it, right? I mean, those games missed. I mean, what will they do with him down the stretch? But, yeah, I think you want him to be heading into the postseason just 100% healthy considering the year he's having. And I think all these guys you handle with care. You wrap in bubble wrap if you need to because there's nothing to play for. This is like I said, go running away with this division like Secretariat at the Belmont Stakes. There's no one even close to them. They're just cruising 13 games or so, whatever it is today. So I think there's nothing to play for other than just maintaining a rhythm. So if it's at all an issue, you sit them.
I agree. Also, my updated MVP, National League MVP, it's going to be Acuna, Mookie, Freddie, and then Matt Olson. That's just what I got.
You said his name right this time.
I did.
It's not Mark Olson.
I had to think about it. No, my friends at Facts MLB on Facts, it's Mark Olson. The final thing that's
no love for Austin Barnes.
He's playing a character. He's playing a character.
I gotta find something here.
Yeah, you could also always throw him.
He doesn't mean that. He thinks it's so not funny that's why he's being
hilarious. The Austin Barnes one got me.
The final down is, I guess it's not really down because the way I worded it, it's an up. It's no more rain. There will be no more rain delays. Knock on desk for the rest of at least the regular season. And I think whatever deity you pray to, I thank them for no more rain delays because my God, I am sick of waiting around to watch baseball. I had to turn on the football on Sunday.
Doug,
and I
Doug,
didn't
did
even
you watch
watch
any football?
it.
Doug, did you watch football?
That's also pigskin, but
ever since my Birds won Super Bowl 50, I just could not care any less. Like I'm done.
You already got what you needed.
Yeah,
honestly. As a fan, I just want one Super Bowl, then I'm good.
Yeah,
a lot of other things to look
maybe
for.
in your lifetime.
Yeah, that rain delay was. That rain was crazy. I mean, everyone thinks is Dodgers Padres a rivalry? Dodgers Giants, Dodgers Cardinals. The biggest rivalry is Dodgers rain delay. I mean, the rain just continues to follow them. I mean, feels like there's been more rain delays in the last 2 weeks than pretty much the entire Dodger Stadium existence. Right? I mean, it's absolutely insane.
This is gonna be trouble.
I'm having fun with this button.
It's gonna be trouble with you here because he's just gonna try to
I'm having fun with these buttons.
How come we have the Noah cam? Where's the Noah cam?
Because we gotta fix it. We gotta fix things. Yeah.
I derailed everything.
I love these buttons.
Let's talk about football and rain and sports. So it makes me wonder if there's any sort of way we could maybe make money on things and do betting on things. Is there anything about that, Noah?
Yeah, let's try this button right here. Last week, I told you guys about the Mojo Fantasy app that turns sportsbook betting into fun fantasy contests. Now, first, we want to hear how you guys are doing, how your portfolios are looking, and remind you guys to download the Mojo Fantasy app on the Apple App Store using code DN2023. That would give you 100% deposit match up to $100 for your first time deposit. The link is in the description below. We're going to be having a huge prize pool game next week, so we highly recommend you getting familiar with the app as best as you can so you can make some serious money playing against tons of other DN fans. The Mojo Fantasy app takes sports betting and gives it a much newer and easier look, so make sure to get it now and start building your portfolios. As a reminder, the code is DN2023. And that'll give you 100% deposit match up to $100 for your first time order. See you in the Mojo Fantasy app.
Go download your Mojo Fantasy app. It's on your Apple Store. Is it on Android? It's got to be on the Android, right? Do you know anything about that?
I don't personally know, but in their thing, it just said Apple App Store, so I was running with that.
You're running from the
I will look into it.
Either way, we'll look into that. But later this week, we're hoping we can integrate some sort of game within the show with the Mojo Fantasy app. Yeah. So download it, please. Get used to it. If you download it and you use that code DN2023, then they'll know that you came because of us. You went and downloaded their app because of us, and then that will help us in the long run as well, because that's how these things work. But it's also just a cool app, Make the games, fun. Make your sports ball games matches even a little more better.
It makes sports betting a little easier. It's fun. It's kind of like stocks. You get to build your own portfolios.
Stonks.
So if you like stonks, and if you like sports, and if you like making money, that is everything you need. Again, code DN2023. And speaking of money, this one works. You win. All right. right, my first good transition of the day.
You nailed it.
Yeah.
Swelling sausage,
landing.
199. How about we forget about Ohtani and get Soto? Any thoughts? Doesn't really feel a need, but
Bad fielding left fielder that can hit
and walk.
and walk. I think I'd still take Ohtani.
I
But then they're both going to be worth a butt ton of money.
I mean, Soto's much younger, so he
is much
He does
younger.
have that.
But
he gets on base.
just doesn't feel like a Dodger to me anymore. Like last year, yeah, he got tainted. I think he got tainted by the Padres.
Future Dodger. Yeah, I agree with you 100%, Clint. He doesn't feel like a Dodger. When it comes to their needs, I mean, what does he truly address? He's an elite hitter. There's nothing that's going to change him. He's great. He's going to have success and produce wherever he goes. But also, let's mention the elephant in the room, and that's Scott Boras. Okay, you really think that you're going to do a $400 million deal with the Scott Boras? That's not going to happen. I don't think that the Dodgers want to invest that much money in a player unless they feel like he can move the needle like a Shohei Ohtani. I don't think they feel that. I feel like they already have a Freddie Freeman. They already have a elite hitter. They already have a Mookie Betts. Those are stars that they have on their roster. I think for them, you'd probably look at on the margins adding pitching at that point. So I just don't see that as a natural fit.
One thing I will, just to give Swelling Sausage's side, he added, I just had it. He said, okay, guys, Soto probably would be a better investment because he's younger. That's what
fair.
He said. That's what he said.
And he doesn't have a torn elbow.
He said he can DH also, because if you don't want him to field, they do have the DH. If they don't have Ohtani.
I would take
have a
Juan
DH
Soto
spot.
over JD Martinez next year.
So I mean, there is, but also to pay someone that much money to only be a DH would not be ideal. So it kind of goes both ways.
But then you're talking about a year ahead, though. I mean, you're already talking about that's next
Well, that's
year's
2024.
2024.
Unless they were to trade for him. But I don't see the Padres trade into the Dodgers.
That won't happen. I
So-
don't think that will.
Speaking of Padres, let us move on.
Good segue.
You know what we did? I've been doing this a minute. We did that thing again where we do 3 up, 3 down. It takes a lot of show. But it was a good time. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us. But we got to talk about this Padres-Dodgers series. It is the final one of the year because the Padres are, I'm pretty sure, 100,000% mathematically eliminated from postseason.
Technically not.
It's
Essentially.
like 1%, right?
Yeah. Less. I'm pretty sure it's like
Less
much
than.
less than 1%. But they're out. So this series doesn't mean anything at all. You're looking at the calendar before the season. You're like, especially with the new calendar and the way they play all teams, and you don't face the same team 19 times anymore. Like you circled this. You figured this was going to be pretty huge for both clubs, most likely. Did not prove to be very huge for the Padres. The only thing they probably have going is I would not be surprised if this is Manny Machado's final season or final series active before shutting it down for the year because he's got elbow issues. But he's only DHing. That's been a team in disarray. They still have really good pitching, but what are your thoughts on this series as we see the Padres for the final time in 2023?
Yeah, to me, it's just another reminder that, hey, this is a very successful franchise in the Los Angeles Dodgers, one that sustains winning, one that is going to win the division 10 in the last 11 years. The one year they didn't win the division, it was because they lost by 1 game to a 107-win Giants team. So I think the Dodgers, they have the rubric. They have the formula for having all that success. The Padres, they were all in. Now they're going to be all out of the postseason. They're not going to make it. And I think if you're this team out there, it feels like A.J. Preller thinks that he knows how to build a roster, but he really does it by flashy names, brand names, guys that win headlines. But guess what? You can't get a trophy for winning the offseason. You can't get a trophy for winning the trade deadline. The Dodgers, on the other hand, they understand that it's about investing in your foundation, in your farm system, in developing these guys. And I think the Padres, they're learning the hard way that you can't build a World Series contender overnight. To me, Preller's like a gambler who just lost everything, all the money, the house, the wife, and kids, and then he proudly announces he's quit gambling, right? So I think at this point, if you're A.J. Preller, you look at this Dodgers team, they're jealous. They wish they were the Dodgers, but they can't be. So yeah, for me, I gain an appreciation for this organization, knowing that, hey, every single expert out there, Padres this, Padres that, it was the trendy pick. They were must-see TV. I think you look at Fernando Tatis Jr., he's had a really solid year, but the rest of those guys, Manny Machado has been one of the biggest disappointments in baseball. I mean, you look at the season he had last year compared to this year, guy who just signed an 11-year, $350 million contract, he's been a disappointment. Jake Cronenworth, disappointment. Joe Musgrove, disappointment.
Every
Yu Darvish.
extension that they signed it's already looking very bad for
It
that
really is. I
organization.
mean, it's just like they thought that you're building. They thought they were the Braves, except they weren't good players like the Braves, right? I mean, let's just be honest. I mean, that Braves team kind of knows what they're doing. But yeah, I do think though, what I'm looking for this series, I think I'm really focused on that Wednesday start because you got Blake Snell, you got Ryan Pepiot. And I think Ryan Pepiot is someone who this is going to be a tough test for him, a good test going up against this Padres lineup at home, continuing to build on that momentum. And also from a little bit of a scouting, future Dodger perspective, the Dodgers could be in the need of some starting pitching this offseason. Blake Snell, of course, you have the connection with Andrew Friedman when they drafted him 52nd overall back in 2011 out of Shorewood High School in Washington. Could he be a future Dodger? I mean, he's pretty nasty. I mean, there are some pros and cons, but what are your thoughts on a Blake Snell? Snellzilla in L.A.
Hey, you're likely 2023 NL Cy Young Award winner, Blake Snell. If you can go out and get somebody of that caliber, from recent reporting on the Padres and their situation with Snell, it doesn't seem like a reunion is going to be in the mix. He's going to be searching somewhere in the $200 million range on the open market this year. And guess what? The Dodgers aren't going to be spending that kind of money on Julio Urias anymore. You need somebody, you need a veteran in that starting rotation. Blake Snell has long been a fun character to watch pitch. He can still get it done, clearly, with the best of them. 2-time Cy Young Award winner in baseball coming up when he wins this year. Hell yes, you go in on trying to add. You don't go all in, but I'm not opposed to adding somebody of the ilk of Blake Snell. And there's not really that many pitchers out there that are going to be exceptionally better than Blake Snell. He, for all intents and purposes, is going to be the number one pitcher available on the market, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think you bring up some fantastic points in that it's not a robust market of starting pitchers that will be available.
Especially with Shohei hurt.
With Ohtani hurt, that's a big thing. But yeah, Flaherty at Montgomery, Sonny Gray, Lucas Giolito. No one wants that.
Sonny Gray might retire, apparently.
Yeah, that's the word on the street, is that's a possibility. Yoshinobu Yamamoto is a very interesting name. Of course, we'd love to see a Japanese pitcher with the Los Angeles Dodgers.
The posting and all that, it becomes a thing.
They're going to get creative, though. I think they're going to get creative. I mean, who knows?
From the infamous meme, why not both?
Exactly. It ain't my money.
It ain't my money. That's for damn sure.
But I will say, kind of circling back to Blake Snell, and that
it's worse when you have a mic now.
I kind of feel bad, actually.
Yeah, if you look at Blake Snell, I think the interesting thing is he's got one of the biggest pros and one of the biggest cons. And what I mean by that is, if you look at his pro, this is someone that sits 95 and 96. When you're a lefty sitting at 95 and 96, the way he can dominate hitters, the way he can absolutely shove out there, he's enticing, especially because you thought maybe next year you have a couple lefties in Julio Urias and Clayton Kershaw. Both are, one's for sure gone. The other one could be gone, right? So you need a left-handed pitcher. And look, the reality is the biggest con for him, though, 5.3 innings per start in 2022. That ranked 81st in Major League Baseball among those with at least 15 starts.
Feels very Dodgery to me. They don't let him pitch deep. He doesn't pitch well.
Yeah, I would say that's Dodgery, but I think the walk rate is what I'm looking at. To me, I just don't think I could feel comfortable giving someone $200 million
Get him
with
in Mark Pryor's pitching lab. We got this.
You kind of are what you are at 30. 11% career walk rate. This year's walk rate, as great of a year as he's having, his walk rate is actually higher this year than it has been throughout his career. A 13.7% walk rate. That's in the 4th percentile. Other than that, though, he's really, really good. He's a guy, high strikeout guy. We've seen him shove on the biggest stage. I think Austin Barnes, if their teammates can give his soul back to him, because Austin Barnes, of course, he took his soul there in Game 6 of the World Series when he was pulled after
family reunion.
Family reunion. I mean, he was pulled after just 73 pitches in 5 1/3 innings. So for me, in the words of Randy Jackson, that's a no for me, dog, on Blake Snell. I'd rather look elsewhere. But yeah, he's someone who I think is almost possibly doubled what he was potentially going to get because of the year that he's had.
Don't worry, guys. Doug's going to link the Padres or link the Dodgers
I didn't
to
say
Blake Snell. A whole bunch.
Oh, there'll be a
I didn't
few
say I was
videos.
going to do 20 videos about it.
Hit that like button, hit
that
that subscribe button, and get us to 70,000 subscribers because we're trying to give away a Mookie Betts jersey.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump into the comments here. A lot of people talking about Blake Snell. First of all, if this stream gets to 300 likes, Blake Snell will sign with the Dodgers, is what I heard. So we're at 133 right now. So, well, then if it, all right, that's not helpful, Doug.
And 500 likes for Shohei and a Shuhei.
Yeah.
Shoey.
if this stream gets to 500 likes, Doug will do a shoey out of Blake Snell's cleats. Okay. So Hepatitis See You Later said no Snell will fall off the moment he signs that contract. Mr. Classic said Blake Snell is needed ASAP. Mr. Classic said Blake Snell always proven in the postseason. L'Oreal said Snellzilla's agent is Boris. We got DJ Jimenez saying Snell throwing to his daddy Austin Barnes, which would be pretty funny.
I like D-Mac's son here. By the way, wait, say that one again.
Snell throwing to his daddy Austin Barnes.
You know what that is? I believe that's Hornitos shot taker of the day. Drink fresh, drink Hornitos.
Shout out
your mom will love you for
DJ
it.
Jimenez for that.
Drink responsibly.
D Jimenez 789 for that
Shot taker.
And then also over on our Twitter/X, I asked the same question. Make sure to follow on that platform
at Dodgers
Nation. Robot Junkyard Studios, aka Jim, said nope. We need more starters who can pitch past the 5th inning, not fewer. Blake Snell with that high walk rate definitely does not go deep into games. But he has been pretty adamant saying, I don't care about the walks. I'm not giving up runs. Which is all that matters as a pitcher.
Very old school. It's about limiting runs. You know?
Run prevention. It's not walk prevention. And even though he gives up a lot of walks, he has the best ERA.
Because if you want the dub, you have to mitigate the slug.
I mean, that's what they say. People have been saying that.
A lot of people have been telling me that one. But I also like this one from D-Mac's son. So, Papa, say hi to son. He says, why does Snell always look tired?
Facts.
His face looks like he's like annoyed. I'm like,
his face is just built that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of being tired,
You win.
we got a super chat.
Super
from
chat.
Swell and Sausage, $1.99.
I don't even know what this one says.
I'll be honest, I don't really know what this one means.
Yeah, I don't know what
Said
it
one good thing, Grisham won't disrespect 22 again.
Oh,
I'm guessing it has to do with the Padres.
Grisham.
Yeah,
now I
disrespecting the
understand
Kershaw
it.
thing.
Yeah, I kind of like that. That's a good.
No, it makes sense.
He's a grease bag.
Oh, Grisham.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so definitely
I like it.
something about the Padres, not just Red and Clayton Kershaw anymore.
I'm gonna
Which
give that one a little,
a little double.
Hornitos shot
yeah,
taker
that's a
of
great
the day.
comment. As we all know, the Padres put up that little Clayton Kershaw thing, and they haven't won since. So
they have beat the Dodgers once since doing the crying Kershaw meme, and they're
way under 500.
Spiraled out of control. You know, one of the things I like that you mentioned, Doug, is this season. And we've seen it a few times with these Padres teams in the AJ Preller era. This is why you should always ignore the Padres when they win the offseason or they win the trade deadline. And that's just Doug preaching right there. This is why you guys should always follow at DMac_LA, because he only spits facts, and if they're not facts, he deletes them. But
you know what?
Yeah.
That one was for Noah. That one was for Noah.
Good. I love this soundboard.
But yeah, they're just they don't know how to build sports ball team goodly, you know?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, they think it's easier than it is.
Yeah,
right?
Preller doesn't know how to build beyond like you said, the brand names, you know. He shops at what's a store people like? What's a store that Noel would shop at? Fine, they shop at Lululemon instead of shopping at Target.
Yeah, look, I mean, that works. I mean, look, I think they like.
I'm reaching.
They like going down, they like going down Rodeo Drive, Gucci, Louis Vuitton, Chanel, all the name brands, right? But it's like, look, you can. They always say you can see rich, you can't see wealth. Right? You can see rich, you can't see wealth. The Dodgers have wealth. They have a foundation. They have a farm system. They have scouting. They have everything that's a pipeline of talent. Then they use those resources. It's a chain that goes to adding players to the deadline, making sensible trades, versus they don't get caught up in the brand name and what that's going to do. And that's what AJ Pearl likes to do. He likes to collect brand names.
And it's not even about the players so much. It's about how do the Dodgers get those players? It's investing in the organization. It's the scouting. It's the meals. It's the planning, the game prep, all that kind of crap that this team does so incredibly well. The everybody that's under the Andrew Friedman umbrella, and you know, Billy Gasparino, and you even say throw Brandon Gomes in there. All that think tank that, you know, you've seen it with, in a way, the Giants, because so many former Dodgers execs are there right now. Apparently, they're not running their pitching staff very well because our friend of the show, Ross Stripling, is upset. But the Dodgers do it right, and they pay all of the people they need in the organization to go out and find the best talent that they're able to trade at the deadline to bring in whatever the hell they need most of the time. Obviously, this was a very weird trade deadline. They did not want to come out with just Lance Lynn, essentially, but they did. But
yeah,
that's the big difference.
100%.
In 15, Preller went all in on getting Matt Kemp and Craig Kimbrell and other names that escape me at the moment, and it just didn't work. It just absolutely did not work. And then after that, adding Eric Hosmer because he's got playoff pedigree and he's also always been a pretty bad player. But Dodgers better.
Yeah, no,
Dodgers
absolutely.
better.
Wealth is everlasting, right? It's like what Chris Rock said. It's like rich is like cars and rims. Wealth is like those people that own the color blue. Right, it's everlasting. The Dodgers, they own the color blue, right? It just does not stop.
Do you own the color blue?
I mean, I got a lot of shirts that are blue.
Yeah, you did a wardrobe change in the show.
I was trying to slip into something a little more.
That's a really nice T-shirt. Where can you get that T-shirt?
Not Gucci. This one probably
Blucci.
From like Tilly's or something.
Hey, let's move on. Finally,
I thought that was our T-shirt.
No, you changed it.
This is an Adidas shirt.
Now you're making it awkward.
Yeah.
Moving on, real quick, we were talking about offseason. We're talking about Blake Snell's another name we had to throw in real quick. Mike Trout. Apparently, the Angels are open to the idea of trading Mike Trout. Michael did slightly speak around the idea of maybe being open. He said he would not entertain the question in so many words in a recent scrum with reporters while he remains on the IL, a place he's been to frequently over the last 5-6 years, mind you, for fans that do want to see Mike Trout in Dodger blue. But the Angels are open finally for the first time. They're open to the idea of if he wants out, they'll explore a trade. I don't know how you would trade Mike Trout. I've long maintained he's the most untradeable player in sport because so much money is still owed to him. How do you get enough talent back from an organization for that organization that just acquired him to not essentially mortgage their future just to get one guy to try to win now, but then they also don't have those other guys or whatever. They could try to trade him. I don't think they can move Mike Trout. And also, it's Bob Nightingale. He's just kind of saying words that he heard from one guy who probably happened to be the janitor at Angel Stadium or whatever. Love Bob, but his source is a little interesting sometimes. But talk to me about Mike Trout. What's your thought on this situation?
Yeah, I agree with you on a lot of what you're saying. I think that when you look at his contract, you can view it as somewhat of an albatross when you consider just how much money is left on it. We're not talking about Shohei Ohtani, who was going to enter free agency. You're talking about arbitration type money, right? Just at the highest level. Yep. Mike Trout, you're talking about a guy who still has almost $250 million left on his contract. You're talking about a guy that has appeared in less than 60% of the Angels games since 2020. You're talking about $37 million a year for a player that could potentially not see the field half the time. So I think when you consider his talent, there's no doubt about it. Mike Trout is the war god. Mike Trout, in the annals of baseball history, he's going to be mentioned among the game's all-time greats. And yeah, it's unfortunate for him that he plays where careers go to die in Anaheim, right, with the Angels. But the reality is that I think when you look at the years, I do think that there's an organization that could talk themselves into a Mike Trout. Seemingly, the Texas Rangers are a team that could say, oh, Mike Trout, love that name, trying to get over the hump in Texas. Philly, of course, we know where he's from. He's a big Eagles fan like you, right? So
Birds.
I think if you look at that, I've always kind of envisioned him with the Cubs for some reason. I don't know why. I had a dream about that one. So I'm not really sure why I feel that way. As far as his fit with the Dodgers, look, I don't think it makes a ton of sense because, of course, you have Mookie Betts under contract for a long time, till like the year 3000, right? 12 years, 365. Freddie Freeman, 4 more years after this year. So I think he, of course, if he's healthy, he can help any team that he's on. But just from a money standpoint, you lose some of that flexibility. When you're the Dodgers and you can get players on one-year deals, like Jason Hayward on a minor league deal, like JD Martinez on a one-year deal, like a David Peralta. Those aren't Mike Trouts, but you can kind of fill in the cracks on some of these one-year deals because of who you are, because of your track record and getting players' careers back on track. So unless they felt like, okay, Mike Trout, this is the guy, I mean, that could truly make this team the best team in baseball.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to do it. I think you need to focus on pitching and kind of get back to the foundation of this Los Angeles Dodgers organization, and you got to get the pitching lined up first, because otherwise you're going to score 5, 6, 7 runs a game with Mike Trout. And then, to me, I just don't want a player where I know that the back end you're already paying bad, you're already paying poorly, you're feeling that cost. Mookie, I'm okay with it. You get 28, 29, 30, I'll get those prime years. I just don't think I have a lot of prime years left from Mike Trout.
No, he's about to turn 32, I believe. And he's been hurt. He's been hurt a lot. He's proven to be hurt. This year was kind of freak with the hamate bone, but you have chronic back issues, his neck issues. Hamstring is given on him a few times. He's not the player he was in the past. I know this guy's got something to add, but before we throw to more comments, I will bait for more comments as well, because it is a question that I like that Doug posed before the show. It's like, whose career would everybody like? Who would you rather be? What career would you rather take, Mookie Betts or Mike Trout? If I'm going to go all out right now, I'm going with Mookie Betts, because that was an MVP and a 2-time World Series champion. Yeah, sure, Mike's about to, he's approaching 400 career home runs and all that, but 14 career playoff plate appearances. What do we got in the chat there, Chief?
Yeah, the biggest sentiments are, 1, Trout too injury prone, don't want to take on another injured player, and 2, an idea that Artie Moreno wouldn't even trade him to the Dodgers because he kind of is that kind of guy.
This is where I push back on that, because I think if the Dodgers overwhelmed him and that organization with a treasure trove of elite prospects, I think you could get Mike Trout. I think
but
Ohtani.
Now all of a sudden, again, now you're losing so much.
I'm not saying I would do it. I'm saying that I think they would consider it. I don't think they ever for a second considered trading Ohtani to the Dodgers. I think they realize that Mike Trout is, at this point, an injury-prone superstar that is in his waning prime. I just don't think that. To kind of get back to your question, whose career would I rather have? I agree with you 100%. I'm taking Mookie Betts, because Mookie Betts, when we read his highlights, when we have his highlight video, you're going to see him winning the World Series in 2018. You're going to see him throwing his hat off in the 2020 World Series, winning a title. Mike Trout, you're not going to have anything. What are you going to show? A bunch of regular season highlights against the Oakland A's, against just bottom feeder teams. Look, there's no doubt about it. Mike Trout, as far as being an elite player, he's right there. But I will say, too, best MLB MVP season since 2000. You got Bonds. Then the third highest is Mookie Betts in 2018 with 10.7. Mike Trout's best MVP season had a 10.5 WAR in 2016. So both elite players. Mookie calls him Mikey, right? I think there's a connection there. You're collecting all the Team USA Infinity Stones, right? You're trying to get some more guys on your squad. But I think right now, I'd rather see the team get younger than older. I don't want an aging superstar, but I think I agree with you. Give me a World Series championship. Give me big postseason moments. When you're a kid and you're playing baseball, you don't think, man, I want to lead the world in war. No, you want to think of a walk-off shot in the World Series playing in the Fall Classic. So I want, for the betterment of baseball, I want to see him on a team that is competing at any level. This sport has been robbed of having the best player of their generation not have any postseason success. Imagine having Giannis Antetokounmpo. Imagine having Patrick Mahomes. Imagine if Michael Jordan played on the Clippers, right? That is what Mike Trout is.
Victor Banos says Trout is like Anthony Davis. Yeah, because all that injury time.
Anthony Davis has a championship ring.
Yeah, look, I
enjoyed the they're gonna retire street clothes. I hear.
I think there is truth to that. In that, look, Anthony Davis on his best day when he's not injured, no agree to this. He doesn't take a backseat to anyone. He's right in the mix for best players. But I don't think that Anthony Davis, as great as Anthony Davis was, he never came close to reaching the heights of Mike Trout on his best day. Mike Trout is that good.
He was a face of baseball for
He's the big fish.
Speaking of big fish, also for more topics like that, head over to Lakers 248. Hit that subscribe button. We'll be having some good conversation about Anthony Davis.
Podcast.
But B. Guzman said Trout too fishy for me. I like that one. But then we had a couple people talking. Gotti Ordonez and Hepatitis See You Later was saying that Mike Trout kind of just feels like he fits with the Padres, that they're going to make some stupid move to trade their quote-unquote farm, even though they have some good pieces now, to just add Mike Trout, another aging superstar.
If he's getting traded, it's going East Coast.
He feels like he's going to Philly. He's always wanted to play for Philly, I feel like. He didn't choose to because he signed.
Seeing him in a Mets uniform.
That would
would be
feel pretty
nasty.
gross. Yeah.
He feels like a Philly.
I
to
don't
me.
think his
Yeah,
personality
he
would
really
fit
does.
well in New York, right? I think.
The problem is the reason that he stayed in the first place is like him and his wife were happy, in their
Well,
mansion
also
in Newport, right?
$426 million.
He has
but the Phillies-
426 million reasons to love being in Anaheim. that's for sure.
426 and a half, actually.
And a half, sorry.
But also, like, the Phillies would have given him, people would have given him that anyway. But, like, the thing is, I think that they were happy in L.A.
I don't know if the Phillies have that kind of money anymore, to be honest.
They got a lot to Trey Turner, so.
Middleton's a crazy owner.
Yeah,
What else you got?
that's a true point.
Hold on, I had one here I very much love from D-Mac's father in the stream. Papa D-Mac says, if Mookie is in danger, I am there. If Mookie is sick, I am there. If Mookie is sad, I will be there to give him a hug. I am Mookie all the way.
I mean, that's facts.
A chip
Let me
off the
find
old
something
block.
here.
Shot taker of the day? Question
Yeah, that's our
mark.
third one. We
That's
got
a lot of shots. We can't even drive home now.
We got
Thank you, guys.
Apple doesn't
Be
fall
responsible.
far from the tree.
That's really good.
Over on Twitter /X, follow at Dodgers Nation.
X.
Jesse Diaz said, why? Maybe if the Angels eat half his contract,
Why?
he's still talented. Why? But clearly his best years are behind him. I don't know about his best years totally being behind him. I mean, when he's playing, he's still one of the best players in baseball. He made the All-Star team this year, which, I mean, it's not saying much because he got voted, but also he had a great year. But, you can't stay healthy. That's a big problem. Speaking of staying healthy. Doug, damn.
You win.
He's doing a white boy snap.
You win. Saki Bomb, $10. Thank you very much for the super chat. Said, I do feel like the injuries can also be how the Angels took care of him. Look at Ohtani and look at what happened when we got Albert. Never hit the IL. That is interesting. I mean, he did break his hamate bone, so I don't.
Yeah,
think,
that was again
I mean,
it's
that
kind of
one,
a freak injury.
Yeah, that one's kind of a fluke, but I mean, it's true. I mean, Albert came to LA, stayed healthy. Ohtani's getting hurt, so it could be a little bit of how they're taking care. I mean, there's definitely something to that, Saki Bomb.
Yeah, I mean, the grade 2 strain on his calf. I mean, there's been knick-knack injuries, and those start to pile up. Yeah, I mean, for me, I want to see Mike Trout on a contender. I just don't want the Dodgers to lose a lot of their flexibility. You add a third massive contract like that for someone that is probably post-prime. I don't think the Dodgers would consider it for a second, unless, as someone mentioned, Anaheim foot the bill a lot in a big way, and they're not going to do that.
Yeah,
So
Artie's not eating money for no reason. He's
No doubt about
already
it.
shedding money everywhere he can
Yeah.
right now. He's not going to eat more.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Learn more all about that at HalosToday.com.
HalosToday.com.
That buttons up today's show, gang. Go Dodgers. Screw them Padres, or sweep the leg, or whatever it was supposed to be. We'll see you on Thursday. Find us on the internet at DodgersNation.com. Subscribe to Blue Heaven Podcasts, which is a podcast. Just search Blue Heaven Podcasts on all your podcast spots, and we'll pop up. Subscribe, leave a review if you can. Leave a 19 million star rating if you are able to on your preferred app. It really helps us feel good in our warm subcockle region. And again, do subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's the best way to keep up with your Los Angeles Dodgers and Doug McCain, of course. That's youtube.com/DodgersNationTV. Hit the bell, leave a like, leave a comment on all of our videos when we get to 70K, which hopefully, if things go well, could be very, very soon. We are giving away a Mookie Betts jersey live. It will be live. We'll pick the winner live here on air, and we'll announce it, and we'll say your name, and it'll be a human name, and you guys can be excited about it. I'm RealFRG on Twitter and Instagram. That is DMac_LA on Twitter and Instagram. That is at Noah Cameras on the Twitter, or the X, as he likes to call it, because he's a corporate shill. Thank you for the comments and questions. Thank you so damn much for the super chats. We appreciate you guys. Thank you for hanging out with us. We'll see you on Thursday. Bye.